What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be working on the Suburban. I have a new steering box to put in it. So last time I worked on this, I put a new power steering pump on it. It took years to burn that power steering pump out, miraculously. But I put a new power steering pump on it. And shortly after, the steering box started leaking out of the input shaft seal. So I've been going through power steering fluid like a stuck pig, and I'm tired of buying power steering fluid for it. So I bought a new steering box. Gonna be putting that in today, and hopefully I can show you guys how to do that. This is gonna be valid for any four-wheel drive square body. Two-wheel drives might be a little bit different, but not very much. So let's go. Let's get into this. So I got the Mustang behind me in the garage right now. Show you guys under the Suburban. This is the original 350. This does have a turbo 400 behind it. I was swapped in before I got it. There is the new power steering pump I put in, I don't know, a month and a half ago. And this is where it's leaking all my fluid from. You can see I put a new high pressure line. That's going to be fun to get back out. The things I'm concerned about getting this box out. I did a steering box on the truck back when I did the swap a couple years ago. Things I'm concerned about this time is going to be getting the steering shaft off of the input shaft for the steering box. And then second is going to be getting the pitman arm off. So let me get in here. Ooh. Pitman arm bolts to the output from the steering box, and I'm less worried about getting it off, more worried about getting it back on, like centered, because you don't get it on centered, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. I'm only doing this for now. Next video on the Suburban, I'm going to be doing a bunch of work to the front axles, so it's going to be bearings, ball joints, this last remaining drag link that I did not replace. And then after that, it's going to be yeah, everything up here is pretty much all new. So before I moved, I put a new water pump on the Suburban. As you can see, premium quality. It's already flash rusted, so that's great. Here's the new steering box. This is a Master Pro O'Reilly's steering box. It's not like a Borgeson or anything, because I cannot afford a Borgeson. Those motherfuckers are expensive. So this is just a reman steering box pretty much. Basically what's leaking on mine is the seal in here is blown out. I'm probably going to leave this little dust cover on just to keep it protected. This is where the input shaft bolts up. You can see premium work. They just spray painted the little rubber cap. I don't know. I'm not expecting this box to last for very long, to be honest with you, but it's going to stop me from leaking fluid, assuming I install everything correctly. There is only 4 bolts that bolt it to the frame. Right here, it bolts on the outside of the frame rail. So it's honestly not super hard to replace, but I'm just going to kind of document it a little bit as I get along so you guys can see. So like I was saying, after I get the steering box installed, I'm going to be doing pretty much everything on the front axles. I need to do axle seals. Actually, I'm not going to do axle seals. They're not leaking. I'm going to try to do diff services on both of them, though the rear diff actually needs to be completely resealed. I'm going to be doing rotors, calipers, pads, ball joints, and front bearings for the hubs. If I can afford to get some more hubs, I'll get those on as well at the same time and record all of that for you guys. There is a specialty socket I need for the front, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, let's get into the steering box. Okay, so far I've gotten both the high pressure or power steering lines off to the box. I've disconnected the pinch bolt on where the steering shaft goes to the input shaft. I have cracked loose this nut on the pitman arm, but I have not gotten it off yet. Working on that right now. The problem I'm having so far is the steering shaft is supposed to collapse right there, and it is not doing that very well. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is, because it's mostly off of the input shaft, I'm probably just going to unbolt the steering box once I get the pitman arm bolt out, and then just slide it out from the shaft. And then what I'm going to do is, once I have everything out, I'm going to recenter my steering wheel, because the new box should come centered already. And then the pitman arm looks like it can only go one way because it doesn't have splines. It has the notch for the pinch bolt on the pitman arm. So next plan right now of attack is just get the pitman arm off, and then I will get the bolts out for the box and drop the box out. All right, let me do this real quick, everyone. So I got one of the bolts out for the steering box, one of the 4 that mount the box, and it brought something to my attention, and I want to talk about steering components for a little bit and kind of explain to you guys what can lead to slop in steering systems and play, anything like that. So let me dive into this real quick. All right, let's start at the input, the steering wheel. So you have a steering column in your car, right? There are bearings. If you have a tilt column, there is a knuckle in here. And this is not just for square bodies, but I'm using my square body as an example. So steering input is from the wheel, travels down the shaft through the firewall, and the shaft right here spinning, matching the input from the steering wheel, spinning the box. Steering box is geared, right? So let's say for every 1 turn of the steering wheel, you get a certain amount of, I think it's, I could actually look it up and what the steering ratio is for a square body steering box, but it's not 1-to-1, okay, is what I'm saying. So like an F1 car is almost 1-to-1. I think they're 1-to-2, but 1-to-1 would be like how you move your wheel is how your wheel turns. So if you turn your steering wheel like this, your wheel is going to turn like that, you know? So the more input you have here with how steering boxes are geared, it's less input here at the wheels. So specific example for square bodies, they have rag joints. Basically what the rag joint is it's like a little rubber like puck, and it goes in between the steering shaft and the box. And it's mainly made for like dampening some of the steering feel, more of a comfort thing, right? So these rag joints can go out. The rubber obviously deteriorates over time. This truck is almost 40 years old. It's 39 years old. And I know that rag joint needs to be replaced, which is why I have one on order. I'll get around to that when I'm doing everything else on the front end of the truck. But rag joints can go bad. Steering boxes can create slop because it is, you know, mechanical parts that are moving together. You got the input shaft on the steering box goes to, it's like a pinion gear, and the output's going to be like almost like a ring gear in a differential. Things wear over time. This steering box is probably original, so Lord knows how much wear this has seen, and especially when you have bigger wheels and tires. Suburban has 35s on it. They're 315/75s, but it's the equivalent of like a 35-inch tire, right? This adds a lot more. It's what's called unsprung weight, right? It's on the outside of the suspension, and it adds a lot more wear and tear to your steering components, right? So if we're working our way back down, right off of the steering box, we have the pitman arm. Already, the steering box can wear, right? There is mechanical engagement in there that can cause issues. Pitman arm comes to a drag link. This is true for my specific example for solid axle vehicles. So drag links, these are like a ball joint, you know? They can wear out, they get loose. There's a center link, another drag link that connects down to the knuckle. And you got tie rod ends, and you got a tie rod that connects this knuckle to that knuckle. You got another tie rod on that end. So both of these tie rod ends are replaceable without having to replace the entire tie rod, versus on my pickup, it's one tie rod end is the entire tie rod, and then one of them is removable. But you need at least one removable so you can make toe adjustments. So what toe is your wheels. Let's say you're looking straight on a vehicle, and the steering wheel straight, the wheel should be straight, right? I can't use both my hands right now, but toe is if the wheels are tilted inwards to each other or outwards from each other. Your toe adjustment is made by adjusting your tie rods and your tie rod ends. So I've only removed one bolt from the steering box, and this caught my attention, and it's quite alarming, and I want to show you guys. Every other bolt I have not touched yet. This is the steering box. You can see the output shaft. I'm gonna see if you guys can see this, but there is a lot of play in the steering box. There we go. I have only removed this top bolt that goes in right here. This is the top bolt for the front side. There is a ton of play in the steering box to the frame. This is another thing that can cause excessive play in a steering system. There's a lot of torque going through the system when you're trying to steer, especially with bigger wheels and tires, against this box. So, square bodies are known to crack the frame where the steering box bolts in. I don't know exactly why, but they tend to get stress cracks where the bolt holes are for the steering box. So I'm gonna check that when I get this box out. If not, I mean, the bolts just could have been loose, and that could be from, 40 years of driving it. And a lot of the time with these 35s on, because I've owned the Suburban for almost 8 years now, and it's had these tires on the entire time I've owned it. And the dot code on these tires is, I believe, 2011. I don't need you guys to tell me anything about that in the comments. Just keep it to yourselves. These tires have been on it for probably at least 8, probably 13. So just to give you guys an idea of what kind of things you can expect to see for to cause steering play and slack and any looseness you feel in steering. Another example would be on the Mustang. The Mustang obviously is not a solid axle, does not have a steering box, it has a rack and pinion. So you still have tie rod ends, but tie rod ends go straight into the rack and pinion. The rack and pinion has the input shaft from the steering column. The difference would be here is your rack still has to be bolted to the subframe or the frame or something, right? Usually it's the subframe. If those bolts are loose for the rack, you could have slop in your steering because now the rack is moving whenever it should be held tight on the subframe. So you're trying to steer the steering wheel, you feel a bunch of slack or a bunch of slop, or you hear a noise. Could be because your rack's moving because it's not bolted down tightly. Could be tie rod ends that are blown out, etc. There's a lot of things that can play into having looseness in a steering column. I'm going to work on getting the rest of this box out, and I'll keep you guys updated. I'm going to definitely check out the frame, make sure there's no stress cracks in the holes. I do have a frame reinforcement brace in the bed of the truck in case I do need it. And it's specifically for square bodies for steering boxes. It'll bolt right in. You can weld it in. We don't have wire for the welder or gas, so I will just be, if I do have to use it, I'll just place it on the frame and then sandwich it right there with the box. All right, let me get this out. I'll get back to you guys in a second. All right, everybody, so I got the old steering box out. There it is. As I thought, 3 out of the 4 bolts were loose. This is the first one I removed that was tight. This one was loose. Those 2 were both loose. That's why the boxes will move around a little bit, even after I only broke 1 loose. Also, my center link, if you look right here, is loose. I need to tighten that pinch bolt right here. That also is going to relate to some slack or slop I had in the steering system. I'm going to see if I can hammer this collapsible shaft out just a little bit to get it to slide. And then next, I'm going to be slapping this thing in. The fun part is always getting the damn lines on. The lines are a pain in the ass to get on because they are soft for most of it, but the high pressure one, has crimps to a hard. It is a pain in the ass to get it in threaded right. I do have new O-rings I need to put on the lines right there. And then, yeah, this will be going in. I found a frog trying to get into my garage.
Can we keep him?
Isn't he cute? Alright, so I cleaned up the frame right behind where the steering box goes. You can see a little bit, but there is no cracks for the box. So I have some blue Loctite over here. I'm going to be putting on the bolts. That way it does not back out either with vibrations or from, you know, stress from the steering. Big old fucking 35s. Also cleaned up all of the bolts that mount it. Cleaned up a bit of the grease on the frame right there. I'm gonna definitely have to get like some gunk or something and pressure wash all this stuff. One of my next projects too is deleting every single one of these stupid fucking vacuum lines that goes all around the engine bay and just gets in the way. So, but let me show you guys something real quick. Look at the slop that's in the input shaft to the output here. You can see the input shaft moving. Nothing from the output. New one is completely tight. The only thing I hate about these boxes is they're like cheaply remanned ones. So I don't know, I'd like to get a Borgeson eventually, maybe like a quick steer box. All right, I'm gonna get this new one bolted up and get the shaft back on. I tried hitting it out and back in to get it to collapse and extend, but it's super stuck. So I will worry about that another time. All right, let me get this box in. One more thing, also I forgot, this is a 40-year-old domestic GM vehicle. I forgot that most of the bolts are SAEs and not metrics. So I had to pull out my standard sockets. But yeah, it's nice using the standards every once in a while because, you know, I've used my metrics for pretty much almost everything else I worked on at my old shop job. But it makes me feel like I didn't waste money on these. So, which honestly I didn't, because I do own this and that. So it makes sense. But yeah, just note guys, if you're all working on an old square body, chances are most of the bolts are going to be standard. All right, we got the new steering box in. We don't have the power steering lines in yet, but pinch bolts in. I tightened up both of my center link pinch bolts. The pitman arm pinch bolt is tightened completely. That is on. Steering wheel is straight. I'm gonna need a little bit of alignment. It's not bad though. Steering wheel is straight. The wheels are damn near straight. But I'm gonna do the alignment after I do the ball joints and everything in the front, because this wheel's got a little bit of camber to it. So definitely need to do ball joints. Almost done. The hardest part is getting these hard lines, the threads lined up in the box. So I'm gonna work on that right now, and then I will update you guys again. All right, everybody, new box is in. Both hard lines are in. There's no leaks from the input shaft or the hard lines. Got everything tightened up. Center link's tightened up. Coleman, go ahead and start her up. No power steering pump noise. We're gonna show you how good this new power steering is. Look at that. One finger power steering with 35s on a 40-year-old truck. Alright, there's the steering wheel just about centered right there. If you look, the wheel's pretty damn close. It's not perfect, but like I said, it does need alignment. But I will do that after I get the ball joints in and everything. So other than that, I think it came out awesome. I'm gonna go take this back for the core. I think I'm probably gonna go pick up my brake calipers for this as well. And yeah, she's running good. She's on a cold start right now, so it's kind of idling a little bit high, but awesome. No power steering noise, no leaks. Came out perfect. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. New steering box is in. Just cleaned up everything outside. No leaks. Everything feels good. I'm gonna go take it on a test drive to O'Reilly's, return that core, and get my money back. And yeah, we're gonna see how this steering feels. I'm excited because it is a lot tighter already. It feels like it. Steers really good. No power steering noise. So I will keep you guys updated. Follow me on Instagram. You guys will see any updates on there if I have breakdowns or anything like that. So thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one.